At this moment, we're going to tackle about King Henry the 13th in 1491 to 1547. King Henry the 13th ruled England for 36 years. That was a quite long time, presiding over sweeping changes that brought his nation into Protestant Reformation. He famously married a series of 6 wives in his search for political alliance, marital bliss, and a healthy male heir. His desire to annul his first marriage without papal approval led to the creation of the separate Church of England. Of his marriages, two indeed in annulment, two in natural deaths, and two with his wives' beheadings for adultery and treason. Oh. His children Edward the Sixth, Mary I, and Elizabeth I would each take their turn as England's monarch. In Henry's early life, Henry was born in June 28 in 1491. The second son of Henry, the 12th, the 7th, the first English. In Henry the 8th early life was like this. Henry was born in June 28, 1491. The second son of Henry the 7th, the first English ruler from the House of Tudor. While his older brother Arthur was being prepared for the throne, Henry was steered toward the church career, with a broad education in theology, music, languages, poetry, and sports. Arthur had been betrothed since age of 2 to Catherine of Aragon. Betrothed, in our term, it is what we call boya, or arranged marriage, the daughter of the Spanish rulers Ferdinand and Isabella. And in November of 1501, the teenage couple were married. Months later, Arthur died of a sudden illness. Henry became next in line of the throne, and in 1503 was again arranged marriage to his brother's widow. King Henry the Eighth, first year as king. So King Henry the Eighth took the throne at the age of 17 and married Catherine of Aragon 6 weeks later. Over the next 15 years, while Henry fought 3 wars in France, Catherine bore him 3 sons and 3 daughters, all but one of whom died in infancy. The sole survivor was Mary, later called Mary I, born in 1516. King Henry was an active king in those years, keeping a festive court, hunting, jousting, writing, and playing music. He even issued a book-length attack on the Martin Luther's church reforms that earned him the title Defender of the Faith. In January of 1536, Henry was unhorsed and injured during a jousting tournament. When news of his accident reached the pregnant Anne, she miscarried, delivering a stillborn son. Henry then spurned her, turning his affections to other women in his court, Jane Seymour. Within 6 months, he had executed Anne for treason and incest and married Jane, who quickly gave him a son, the future King Edward VI, but died 2 weeks later. Henry's fourth marriage bore similarities to his first. Anne of Cleves was a political bride, chosen to cement on an alliance with her brother, the ruler of a Protestant duchy in Germany. The marriage only lasted a few days before Henry had it annulled. So he then married Catherine Howard, But 2 years later, she too was beheaded for treason and adultery. So as we can see that King Henry has this, just for me, no offense, this is only in my opinion, that King Henry has this kind of game that whenever he don't want anymore the girl, or he already don't like the girl anymore, so he file a treason or adultery to the girl so that uh, uh, the girl will die, and he will have the another opportunity to marry another woman, or to have this kind of things to the other woman. And then let's talk about King Edward the Sixth, a jewel of King Henry the Eighth. Let's say it is a jewel for him because it is his son, King Edward. I think he's very proud of him. I think he really loved this kid before. That's why he is a jewel of him. King Edward the Sixth. King Edward the Sixth, in October 12, 1537 to July 6, 1553, was the King of England and Ireland from 28th of January 1547 until the death in 1553. He was crowned on February 20 at the age of 9. Imagine that. He was still 9 when he was crowned as a king. Edward was the son of Henry the Eighth and Jane Seymour, and England's first monarch to be raised as a Protestant during his reign. The realm was governed by a regency council because he never reached maturity. So the council was first led by his uncle Edward Seymour. So because he is still at the age of 9, he cannot manage because he didn't reach maturity already. So the mark that was put on a shoulder was with his uncle Edward Seymour, the first Duke of Somerset, in 1547 to 1549, and then by John Dudley, the first Earl of Warwick, 1550 to 1553, who from 1551 was Duke of Northumberland. Edward's reign was marked by economic problems and social unrest that in 1549 erupted into riot and rebellion. So because King Edward didn't reach the maturity, and that's why his uncle is the one that was managing the kingdom. So this is the reason why in 1549 the riot erupted and rebellion. An expensive war with Scotland, at first successful, ended with military withdrawal from Scotland and Boulogne-sur-Mer in exchange for peace. During his early life, Edward was born in King Henry's life. In his early life, King Henry was born on 12th of October in 1537 in his mother's room inside Hampton Court Palace in Middlesex. He was the son of King Henry VIII by his third wife, Jane Seymour. Throughout the realm, the people greeted the birth of the male heir, whom we hungered for so long, with joy and relief. To the hymns were sung in the churches, bonfires lit, and they was shot at the tower that night above 2,000 guns. Queen Jane Queen Jane appearing to recover quickly from the birth, sent personally signed letters announcing the birth of a prince conceived in a most lawful matrimony between my lord the king's majesty and us. Edward was christened on 15th of October with his half-sister, the 21-year-old Lady Mary, as godmother, and the 4-year-old Lady Elizabeth carrying the crescent, and the G. Arthur King of Arms proclaimed him as Duke of Cornwall and Earl of Chester. And after that, the Queen, however, fell ill in 23 of October from the presumed postnatal complications and died the following night. So Henry VIII wrote the Francis I of France that divine providence health mingled by joy and bitterness of the death of her who brought me this happiness. So because as we can see that in here, King Edward was born in 12th of October in 1537 uh, by his mother in the room inside the Hampton Court Palace in Middlesex. He is a very precious, that's why he is called the jewel of King Henry, because he is the only male heir of all King Henry's sons, children. He is the only male, so he is very special for King Henry. That's why he was called or entitled the jewel of King Henry. And then throughout the realm, the people greeted the birth of the male heir whom we hungered for so long, because they are waiting for a male heir for so long, and that's why they celebrated. They have this bonfire. They have this party. The party they sang above the churches, like that, and so on and so forth. Happiness for the birth of King Edward. So, in this council and regency, King Henry the Eighth will name 16 executors who were to act as Edward's counsel until he reached the age of 18. So, King Henry, because King Edward was very special to him, he is already, at that time, he already arranged the 16 executors or to act as King Edward's counsel until he reached 18. They will be their guide, they will be their counselor to do those specific things for the goodness of the kingdom, or for the goodness of their place, for the goodness of all, especially to King Edward. So King Henry is already thinking about these things. That's all. Thank you very much. God bless.